Hello and welcome to Steel Sharpens Steel. Like most of you, it's been a week. It has been a week. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I am Joyce Stevens.
And I am Chuck Hobbs. Good evening.
And Anthony Turner has returned to his pole position with the very first comment. And Mike Bartlett is back. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Anthony, there is a lot to unpack. And so we are going to jump right into the packages. First off, January 6th. Boy, what a night. I feel like Frankie Valli. Oh, what a
What a
night.
night.
Uh, these Sixers have been having some raids, um, and not raids to eliminate Jurassic World domination super locusts. Although, if some super locusts were on fire and pelted their houses and tore their foundations to shreds, I wouldn't be mad. By the
Mm.
way, Jurassic World domination is a trash fire. It's a
Okay,
horrible
I was
film.
worried with the dramatic pause. I was like, if he says anything other than trash, we're just
No,
gonna end the show right there because
no,
you will
you
have
know
been
it's
kidnapped and we've been infiltrated.
it is burning trash. It is such hot trash. It is a rolling dumpster
Basura
fire. You see,
forever.
yeah, but so you see the gif, I'm sure, of the dumpster that is on fire in a flood, and the dumpster is floating through the street. That is how much of a trash fire it is. But is it's not nearly enough to incinerate and roast these cockroaches who are trying to scurry away. Some of the big developments this week, which gave me, yes, garbage truck juice. Oh, to garbage de camion.
Mm.
This is a new vintage by the Gallo family, and please don't drink it. But we've had a whole lot of things that happened this week, not the least of which was all of the states, almost all of the states, that put forth slates of fake electors. All them people are getting indicted because they signed their name to a piece of paper that said they were electors, which is a federal crime.
That's a lie.
That's a
Liar,
lie
liar, pants on fire in a dumpster in a flood going down the street.
lit by Jurassic era super locusts. So there were a couple of states that basically said in their paperwork, they said if it is determined that Trump is the actual winner, we are the electors. But a whole bunch of them states were just like, nope, it's us. And that's a problem.
Words matter.
Words matter and they mean things. And you should have been more judicious, but you were worshiping the altar of the Cheeto dust god. And so what you ended up getting was an indictment. And that's not even all of it, because Ron Johnson's people talking about we're going to pass these electors over to Mike Pence. And Mike Pence's people were like, uh, they pulled the old Candyman. Don't you do that. We don't. Yeah, we don't want that. Don't you send them fake electors our way.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you? That's just, ah! And he tried to be on them like a spider monkey,
Right.
and it did not work. Little 8 pound 7 ounces baby Jesus
Baby
did
Beelzebub.
not save them. And what we ended up getting was a whole bunch of people, including a couple of lawyers, who had cell phones intooken and homes raided. And one of these clowns was talking about Stasi-like tactics. Please don't use words that you don't understand. For
Right.
those of you who, well, actually, I'm going to let somebody else talk. So, one of my two hosts, co-hosts, please enlighten the Chirin on who the Stasi were and what actual Stasi tactics are. Okay, that's Chuck Hobbs. Chuck Hobbs, resident historian and political pundit par excellence. Do you want to talk to us about who the Stasi were and why using that is really an inappropriate uh, comparison?
Yeah, we have a lot of people in this country, particularly right-wing successors who have I don't know, an almost singular sick fixation on using words and or imagery that either emanates from Nazi Germany or post-Nazi Germany with once the Iron Curtain fell in Europe, and so you've got East Germany, which was separated from West Germany. As we all remember, West Germany was the democratic, pro-U.S. France and Great Britain half. East Germany was the half, or not even a half. It was really more like a quad, less than a quadrant. But it was where Berlin was, and it was under the control of the Russians and the Warsaw Pact. And so you have a lot of idiots who like to make reference to either the Gestapo or Stasi or the KGB, and they really don't know what the hell they're talking about. And so, but what's even worse, Tom, is you have millions of their followers who revel in it and don't hold them to account because they don't know what the hell they're talking about either. So,
Exactly.
yeah, Stasi sounds good, and so we're gonna roll with it. But anytime you're talking Stasi, you're talking KGB, you're talking back during World War II, the Gestapo, you're talking about secret police type tactics, whereby underhanded, evil interrogation techniques and things of that nature are being done. So these people are extremely disingenuous with what it is they're saying, historically inaccurate, and just all around stupid. And so, yeah, it's very frustrating to have to even breathe the same airspace with a bunch of these cretins, Tom. And if it looks like I'm tired and not with the shits from these people, I'm not. So again, I'm going to watch my tongue and not try to be too profane because I know that we've got your mom that watches a lot. We've got Sharon Letman Hicks, who's not with us tonight, but I know her mom watches a lot. And so, yeah, I don't want to offend the elders who might call my mom and be like, Chucky's cussing again and acting a fool on that Steel show. But anyway, thanks, Tom. It's been a while. I haven't been with y'all in several weeks because life has happened, as you all know, and
Mm-hmm.
we just can't get around to doing it. But I'm glad to be back here tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking before we started the broadcast about what is perhaps a legitimate comparison to Stasi-like tactics, like, oh, I don't know, Breonna Taylor
Yeah.
with a no-knock warrant who ended up getting shot, as opposed to this lawyer who not only was not shot, but he's also not in some dank cell because he was on Tucker Carlson's show talking and peddling this trash. Listen, because you had to wake up in your jammies does not equate the East German secret police. So just stop. I know that you
You know
want to
what it
make these
is?
comparisons. Yes, what is it, Joy?
It's a relative comparison. So if you're used to having public officials and people in power kiss your ass, them
True.
treating you like a regular person is a fall to the depths of hell. Most people are used to being treated bad, and so they're already there. And so for you to be treated 10 times better than the average person is still the depths of hell for you. It's very similar to when we say, if you're used to privilege, equality feels like oppression. That's exactly what this is. They got treated equally, and they felt as if they had been done wrong because they're supposed to be treated superior. And that's
Mm.
where they got me fucked up.
Well, it's not that I'm better than you. It's just that you're not as good as me.
Exactly that part. I don't think I'm better than you. I don't have anything against people of your kind. I just believe that everyone should have things based on their merit and their value. And, okay, bye. Because I can't
Uh,
defend the rest of that.
Yeah,
Right.
of which you have none. So,
Right.
one of the things that I thought was really interesting, because there's been a lot of talk banding around on the interwebs this week about whether or not criminal charges, could actually be filed. And one of the arguments that is come up in the Trump won't get indicted or charged is that basically Trump is so delusional and stupid, he didn't actually know that what he was doing was a lie. He
See,
just and listen, I'm not saying that's an argument I buy. I'm just saying that's something that has been put forth that it's going to be hard to prove. And meanwhile, somebody said yes, but if you walked into a bank and said I believe that money is mine, you still robbed the bank. It doesn't matter that,
right.
that you
When I get
you were
stopped for
deluded.
speeding, if I get stopped for speeding and say I didn't see that it dropped from 75 to 45 10 feet ago,
Right.
I'm still going to get a ticket, whether I saw it
Right.
or was aware of it or not. Matter of fact, I'm
Right.
doing something that was legal a minute ago and now it's illegal and I didn't see it. That's more of a defense than I didn't know it was wrong to lie about an election.
The
And
other
here's my
part,
Right.
thing. Here's the part that pisses me off. You, a rational person, regardless of who you think is right or wrong, cannot hold simultaneously the arguments that he was too stupid to know what he was doing was wrong, and he is the smartest person to run the world. That shit don't matter.
not only does it,
Am I supposed to not be cussing tonight?
no, it's all good. Do what you like Digital Underground said. And
Do what you like. That.
not only is that what it is, but his lawyers, if Trump ever gets indicted, and it's still a big if, his lawyers will have a difficult time selling that. That is the defense. Tom laid it out. That is the best defense, which is not only did he not know what he was doing was wrong, but he had no intent for those people to go break into the Capitol. He just was encouraging them to go exercise their rights to peaceful protest. Problem,
Mm.
though, is his own words, not only in the form of testimony that would come from people who've already given deposition testimony that he was saying that when they were talking hang Mike Pence, Trump blurted out a comment in the Oval Office or wherever he was in the West Wing saying, maybe the people are right.
Mm-hmm.
He's too arrogant and too uncontrollable to actually follow the play on something like that. He's the kind of guy that's going to, because he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. The lawyers can have it all down pat and it will all unravel right there on the witness stand. So it will be interesting to see what jumps off in terms of whether he's going to be indicted, and if he's indicted, what's going to happen. We've talked about it off record, a lot of us, together as a group. I've written about this a little bit, y'all. One of the big concerns that I have, and I know y'all have, is what's the end play? Like,
Yeah.
we recognize that it was evil. There were a lot of evil things done on January 6th. Trump was deplorable in what he did, and I'm looking forward to learning which Congress persons or critters or whatever were responsible for helping to get these anarchists into the building and in the right places. I mean, I've been horrified since January 6th of last year by the idea that these people knew how to get exactly to Nancy Pelosi's real office, not the one that
Not the greeter's office. Yeah.
not to get.
Right.
It's like somebody had to help these people figure all this out, and so there's a lot of good that can come from this. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you that some of these right-wing crazies are just itching for an opportunity to fire off all these AR-15s that they go into the woods and play with every weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see what shakes out from all of this.
One of the things that struck me about the arguments about his criminal culpability in this issue is Eric. Oh yeah, Mo Brooks. Boy, I tell you, you talk about some good old boys and how short their loyalty and their memories are. Boy, Mo Brooks sure was Trump's biggest fan when Trump had endorsed him, and then when things went a little left and he went going after Stasi Barbie as the candidate of choice, and he got his whole hindquarters taxed, he said, "Oh, so you need the January 6th? You want me to? Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that."
Let me text you all my messages.
Yeah, exactly. Let me and Benny Thompson, my good frat brother, had to say, "Oh, well, let's hold on. Let's reissue the subpoena. Let's clean it up a little bit because let's see now if we can get all of it, then let's get it all." And so Eric Holder is saying that despite all the flim flam of everything else, he has what he believes is the smoking gun about Trump's culpability. And this is as transcribed by a person on Trump's staff who was talking to Trump. And these are the words that Eric Holder feels are going to be damning. Trump, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. So he's saying, the implication is, I know that this is a lie. I just want you to say it, and then I and my minions will banana it into reality. Because that was the game. The game was create confusion, stall, create an opportunity for there to be so much confusion that Mike Pence nullifies, and then it goes back to the states and the state legislatures that are controlled, basically in all of these pivotal states, are controlled by the GOP. They get to do it. And if they get to do it, then he would be good. So he was basically outlining, I just need you to say it was corrupt. I just need you to butt her emails. I just need you to James Comey in the last week of the election say, and nobody did it. That's remarkable. MAGA people, you do realize no one did it. His own employees, his own appointees, everybody in the Department of Justice. He had some flacks that were willing to do or say almost anything, and everybody else in DOJ was like, if you do this, all of us are resigning immediately. And that's the only thing that kept this country out of a legitimate coup. The only thing. And I'm not calling them brave because they did their job. You know, I don't turn cartwheels for a barista because she gives me my macchiato. You were supposed to do that. You were supposed to do that job. So you don't get a cookie for not betraying the country. You get the I'm not a traitor cookie, maybe with some royal icing, but that's it. You don't get a special kudos.
I'm gonna put this back up because this is a picture, so I can't like cut it and paste it real quick, but you want it in the comments, so we'll just leave it up for a second so you can read it. And there you have it.
Yeah, I didn't read the left. The Trump's substantive involvement and corrupt intent, requisite state of mind. He knew what he was doing, y'all. He knew.
Yeah, this essentially says, listen to what he just said. He knows good and hell well, as they used to say. You know good and hell well what you're doing.
I know that's right.
What you're gonna be in trouble for.
Absolutely, you do. You know what it is.
You know what it is.
You know what it is. Before we click onto, and the comments are racking up. I'm sorry, y'all.
I've been on them.
Okay, good. MAGA maggots. Yes, Anthony Turner. Yes. Absolutely. Before we tip on to the biggest story of the day, are there any other little tidbits about January 6th that bear mentioning tonight? Mo Brooks was huge. Pardons. I'm sorry. I can't get off the pardons. So I have to ask you a question, Chuck, as our legal eagle here. How often do you find innocent people seeking pardons?
I'm laughing because it reminds me of something that my very first boss, the former state attorney for our area named Willie Meggs, used to say. And he was fond of saying, for people who were being told to give hair samples for drug tests and things like that, if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide. And so when you said that, it reminded me of what he said, because it's the same principle, which is if you've done nothing wrong, you don't need to seek a preemptive pardon, which again lets me know that a lot of these folks who are seeking such pardons knew good and
hell well.
Good and hell well.
That what they were doing was wrong back on January 6th. So yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
I do have to shine a particular spotlight on one of your favorite congressmen from your state, Chuck, because unlike some of the pardon petitionees, which it should be noted, Trump did not hand out any pardons for y'all. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
He ain't hand out any of them pardons. But one of the persons who was seeking a pardon for a bit longer time frame than the January Sixers, and that was the walking pomade advertisement, Matt Gaetz, who
Yeah.
basically was looking at a pardon from fetal personhood on to infinity.
Mhm.
Right.
He was looking for the big pardon.
Right. The pardon said, when the time frame on the pardon said, all my life.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Because he wants to swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. Yeah, he was doing a whole lot of
Hang on,
swinging.
one moment for you hitting that note. I heard you, Tom. Go on.
I mean, come on.
Tom got talent now.
You know I don't start a motif without being able to finish the
True.
motif. We're not doing that. What we're not going to do
Yeah.
is not get it right.
Talent. Yeah.
So I think the challenge with Matty Boy, first of all, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
You ain't get it. So Brill cream, a little dabble, do ya? You're gonna need more than Brill cream where you're going, Matt, because
Creams don't work.
they don't like
Ooh.
people accused of doing that stuff in the pokey.
You know what's
pokey.
crazy about it though is in Mo Brooks, as CJ brought up earlier, is Trump cares about Trump. And I know we talk about that a lot, but I have never seen such loyalty out of people for a person who shows no loyalty. It's just mind-boggling. Like he
Yes,
really
you
does
have.
not care. He does not care about these people.
You've
at
seen
all.
this, Chuck.
Tell me.
Pick a monarchy.
Okay,
Wow.
gotcha. Good point.
I mean, how many wives did Henry have to have before chicks stopped lining up at the bridal boutique for
Right.
Henry VIII? These chicks is getting dropped left and right, and they just like, oh, I'll go. Girl, how about you get pregnant with the son first?
Right.
And then get married. Be the side piece and then make it happen. Because it didn't work out so well for most of them wives.
Mhm.
It just did not work. And it's just astonishing to me how, to your point, Chuck, you said it, how these people can act as though their assertions of fealty, and Ted Cruz is perhaps the most craven of them all. We've said it a bunch of times. At least Mo Brooks got off the train. Mo was like, yeah, so no, I'm done. And I'm done with politics. So I'm going to say exactly what I want. Wait, what are you saying, Joy?
Ted Cruz is a...
Yes.
Definitely.
Actually,
I'm a
that's an
diversity and
insult to
inclusion
female
consultant.
dogs.
I don't use that word lightly. And you know
Right.
that I do not mean anything denigrating to women. I mean it in the sense of, closer to short slang.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what he is? He's a cur.
Yeah, he is a cur.
Yes,
Yeah,
C-U-R,
Yes.
not K-E-R.
No. C-U-R-A.
Aura.
C-U-R-A. That's what he is. The mangy werewolf. Thank you, Mike. I like that too. So what we've had is we've had a bunch going on with January 6th. And I actually created a hashtag today. I'm going to put it in a banner for you just in case anybody decides that they want to start to use it. It is hashtag 16624. And that is the GOP doing too much. January 6th and June 24th. January 6th is what we're talking about. June 24th is what we are about to talk about right now, with the reversal of settled stare decisis for 49 years, with the reversal of Roe v. Wade.
Hang on. I'll be right back before I talk about this. Y'all go ahead. I'll be right back.
I mean, but you're the... Okay.
I got you, Joy. I got you.
No, I get it. And this has got to be a very tough day. I have often said, and Tupac said it, because a man can't create one or make one, he has no right to tell a woman to create one.
Yeah.
It is fundamentally, it is an issue of bodily autonomy, not about fetal viability. Because let's be clear, in the early days of the Constitution, in the days of the forefathers, they
Can't take on
blessed
that.
day.
That is
You
funny.
actually kind of look like Kenny in South Park. They killed Kenny.
Man, oh man.
But back in the day, it's not like it wasn't no ultrasounds in 1789.
No.
Right?
So you had what was called quickening, which is when a doctor could basically, for sure, because they could feel the fetus moving around. Thank you, Nikki Shedrick, for correcting my very poor attempt at quoting Tupac. So you had quickening, and when the baby was kicking, well, then you knew that it was a baby that maybe was fixing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But up until that point, you didn't know if she ate a bad potato, if it was just, the 1700s and she was about to die at 30. You didn't know what was going on
Right. And
with a woman.
My thing is, y'all know I just went through the whole thing with the surgery, with the ovarian cyst, blah, blah, blah. I did not know what was going on with me for 6 months. And then I wondered, might I be pregnant? I knew I couldn't be because I had a hysterectomy, but still, what the hell is going on with me? Why can't I touch my shoes? Because I have any reason to believe I might have been pregnant. I'm looking back days like, nah, it's been so long that if I was pregnant, it's dead and then now, like shit. So I'm just saying, months went by before I even suspected something might be wrong with me. And so why would someone, especially if you're being safe, you're using condoms, you're on the pill or whatever, sometimes as women know, you still got your period. You just seem to be gaining weight and maybe you really wanted some ice cream one day. And next thing you know, you're 3 months pregnant and now it's too late and you will go to jail if you try to do anything about it.
Now, Ravine brings up a good question. Contraception is not in this ruling,
Right.
but everybody's favorite misogynist, I'm sorry, Clarence Thomas basically said, and he was the only one to sign this solo decision.
Right. He went full Uncle Ruckus on y'all.
He said, well, if Roe is wrong, basically all them other things has got to be wrong too.
Right.
That's it.
He felt fully in his chest and his soul that now that Roe was overturned, we're going after Planned Parenthood and contraception, and we're going after gay rights and same-sex
marriage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? Don't leave Loving v. Virginia out of that though, Clarence.
Well, he might.
I know you loves you some Virginia.
Hey, don't forget about what was it? Bigby. What's his name? I can't remember the name from the Chappelle show. When he found out that his wife had married a black man. Bixby. So he might be all for loving for other people.
I wonder though. You think let's game this out a little bit, because Jitty about gotten all she could get out of her little puppet.
Yeah.
And you think she would shed even a tear if someone said our marriage is nullified? Or would she just go on to the next one? Yeah, that's right. What's that dude in Django? Sam Jackson's character. Steven.
Yeah.
Steven. And Clayton Bigsby. Clayton Bigsby, Steven, and Uncle Ruckus all rolled up into one ham hock.
Mm-hmm.
You said ham hock, and I'm going to take exception because I love ham hocks, and I don't love any of those people that you tried to conflate into a crust. I hate you. I hate you so much right now. I am policing you. I hate you so much right now. Yeah, this Roe thing, I mean, I woke up and actually on my timeline before it had broken, before I had seen the actual news, my
Mhm.
friend Nikki Free Wiggins, well, Nikki Wiggins, Nikki Free Wiggins on Facebook, she said Roe is gone, and I was like, wait, what now? And
Mhm.
so I went New York Times breaking news, and I said I mean I do believe it because they telegraphed it in May. We all
Yeah.
knew it was coming, but the reality of it. And here's poor little Susan Collins sucker ass talking about, well, I guess they lied. You guess? What you mean you guess? And let's be clear, she was the vote that got us Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Mainers.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not up this cycle, right? She's good already. I don't think she's up for Senate in this cycle, but it was her vote. Kavanaugh barely got on. And the reason he got on was because of Susan Collins of Maine.
Susan
Remember that.
Collins is the worst, the absolute worst,
The
because
worst.
she is that type of white woman that pretends they don't know the world is bad. And so they live in this sugar coated, candy painted bubble of, I'm positive they won't go that way because, gosh golly, people are generally nice. And knowing good and hell well that she's not only supporting a negative and terrible and oppressive system, but at some point, somewhere, she's profiting off of it too. Or people that she knows are profiting off of it. Or somewhere there's money that trails back to her deciding this ain't so bad. I'm gonna go ahead and let this slide. She do good and hell well that if we had him and got one more, I also think that she was maybe believing it'll just be this one and nobody will pay attention to the rest. Right? And Kavanaugh was the beginning of the end.
Listen, Harry
People,
Brown is asking if we knew it was coming, why didn't Biden expand the court so that he could appoint a majority of liberal judges? First of all, let's be clear.
that wasn't gonna
Th-
happen.
That's not a finger snap, bro. It's something that was brought up. Plenty of people did raise the question, but let's be clear. You would have had to add 4 justices to bring the court to 13 just to avoid this. And that's if you could have avoided the internecine turf battle that it would have taken to even get that anywhere. You can't get one.
Yeah.
You think this 6-3 majority and the Senate, which is deadlocked and everything else, 2/3, blah, 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 that's not an executive order thing. So you've got to get people who are going to ride with you. And you don't even have the entire Senate Democratic caucus, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema. You don't even have all of them on board with an expansion that dramatic. And the only thing that would have prevented this was adding 4 dyed-in-the-wool 17-year-old liberal justices. You need some young ass 26-year-old clerks to just be on the court forever. And that's the problem. She is absolutely complicit, Anthony Turner. Yes, indeed she is. And part of the challenge we have is that you don't hear about these unelected judges, right? These unelected advocate judges
Mm-hmm.
making dramatic changes in the
Mm-hmm.
fabric of our country and our society. They aren't activists. And, Kavanaugh tried to thread the needle and say, well, I won't go I'm not going so far as to address fetal personhood and all these other things. You think granting citizenship to a zygote is the way to enforce the Constitution? You are a fool.
And see, now there's my thing. The Constitution does not expressly say anything about abortion. It also does not expressly say anything about fetal viability.
Sure
So how
doesn't.
you gonna pick one but not the other to say it's not in there? Neither one is in there. This is a modern world problem that didn't exist when it wasn't a political problem when the Constitution was written. And this whole bullshit about, oh well, there have been laws against abortion across the country since its inception. Yeah, they have. It's also been a lot easier to get contraception. They used to sell little bottles and tonics and tinctures and shit on the street, like to rid yourself
Streets.
of. So you didn't have to have as many abortions. Because guess what? They had morning after pills in 1781. So the
And
fuck,
you
like,
could at one point you could have drank enough Coca-Cola to get the baby out you.
And they knew
Back
that
when it
too.
really had Coke in it.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it.
And they
No,
knew
I
that
mean,
too.
as has been mentioned here in a lot of the mainstream media, this 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 ruling was developed when Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. There's no other
Hmm.
yep.
look at it, and there's a part of me that is like, it's unfortunate. We're gonna have to work around it. One of the things I've been trying to express to people is, because a lot of people like are wondering, well, what really happens, and what's really happening is red states will outlaw the practice. Blue states will keep it. There are some states that are gray where it's a toss up. It could go either way. And so what's going to happen is, unfortunately, is that if you live in a red state, I happen to live in a red state, or Joy lives in a red state. If you live in a red state, Alabama, most of the South for the most part, um, you're going to have to incur expenses to go elsewhere to potentially have your abortion. Although I do throw this back out here in the universe too. Some of my OBGYN friends have told me that they don't have to report those private procedures like that. It's not
Yeah.
a, they
Mm.
so at
If you don't get a health insurance involved and you go to a private practice to do a private procedure, nobody knows what that is.
Absolutely. And the hypocrisy in it is that that's what a lot of the conservatives have always done. That's
Mhm.
what
Wow.
wealthy
But you
people have
remember I
always
told you my
yeah.
C-section cost like $68,000.
Mm,
So I'm assuming you go to a private practice, you cut some of that out, and it's down to, let's call it $45,000.
mm.
Who got that kind of money sitting around? Senators,
Yeah,
congressmen,
yeah, yeah.
CEOs,
It's a
owners of corporations.
and thus it goes back to the cliche that being poor is hella expensive to be poor, and
Sure
so
Hmm.
is.
poor people are going to really struggle with this. Folks who can't go to public clinics and what have you, and have these procedures in these red states, but it can still be done. It's just something that is going to take some planning and some effort, and that's frustrating. I know,
Hmm.
because we shouldn't be at this point, But yeah, and we shouldn't be here anyway. You people knew what was happening, and I get ideology. I respect it. I respect everybody who's like, look, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I mean, to be honest with you, I had my own issues with her. I've never hidden that I supported Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary, but when he lost, and I recognized what the alternative was, it was strictly with regards to the Supreme Court more than anything else. There were other reasons, but my main reason was, I said there are a whole litany of cases, starting with Roe, but then going all into Black civil rights and LGBTQ rights. I said, the if Trump wins, shit's about to get really bad for the next 25, 30 years or longer. And sure enough, folks voted for Jill Stein, they voted for Mickey Mouse,
They
they
didn't vote at all.
didn't vote at all, or they voted for Trump, and here we are. And so, I'm not trying to play the blame game. I mean,
I
hey,
am.
I am.
I
oh,
placed it solely on them because it wasn't like progressives and Democrats weren't all over the news saying, please don't do this. Please vote for one of the two candidates. Please go out and exercise your right to vote. We need everybody. We need all hands on deck. I remember seeing that post. It was like a page long post going around Facebook. I reposted it myself saying whoever becomes president now is going to have Supreme Court, federal court, be able to do executive orders, have these things coming up. I want to say that like Roe v. Wade was mentioning, like it's going to
Of
be in
course it
danger if we
was.
get too many conservatives. Like there was warning, and it was all over the place. People just decided to stick their head in the sand. That is a different level of privilege to say, you know what? I feel that my life is secure enough that I don't have to worry about the things that other, peasants, poor people that, worse than me have to deal with. So I'm going to vote my conscience. Yeah. Yeah, this
yeah,
right here.
yeah. Yeah, wow. And I'm not gonna lie, shout out to my homie and my day one Morehouse brother, straight out of Jacksonville, Jason Hayes. Jay is right. There was a lot that Hillary left to be desired in 2016. I'm not saying she ran a perfect campaign. I think
Oh
that
shit, no.
no, I think to a great extent there was an arrogance there that she displayed, where I think she thought it was inevitable because Trump was such a joke. He was such a just an ass clown, for lack of a better something to
Mhm.
call him. that I think all of us kind of had that in our head. Like, there's no way in hell. And I've talked about this before. Even for all of the smartness that we have in this group, I was pretty much thinking Trump was going to lose too until about 2 weeks before that damn election, when I was down in the blue part of Florida. I was down in Orlando. That I-4 corridor is blue as all get out. And all I saw was Trump signs, MAGA signs. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm seeing more red down here than I'm seeing blue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this fool might pull this off. And he sure did. And we're screwed, man.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead, Joy.
Okay. So what people are missing in all of the, I don't think Trump is a viable candidate. There's no way this clown could win. They're missing the loyalty and worship of the bigger power, which is the GOP. Didn't matter who they put up on the slate, they were going to win. And let's also not forget that even though the left from center on is, progressive and looks for equality, there's still a whole hell of a lot of them that sit with that embedded like misogyny and sexism, and even women that were not going to vote for a woman president. Give them any excuse to bash her or say she's not worthy, and they'll eat it up. Like that's where you get her emails and all that stuff that came out. None of that should have mattered because so much was on the line. But I remember when she won. I remember when she was going up against Bernie. One of the other reasons that I was on Bernie's bust, aside from the fact that I agree with a lot of stuff that he says, one of the reasons that I was thinking it had to be him was because I knew this country, regardless of political party, was not going to go 12 years without a white man in power. That was too much. It was a bridge too far. It didn't matter who they put up. A white man was going to have to be president next. And since the Democratic Party did not put up a white man, they lost. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and I feel you on that, Joy, because I always have argued that Biden would have beaten Trump in 2016.
Bernie would have beaten Trump.
Yeah, I really believe that in my heart.
I don't know if Bernie would have, just because of the socialism stuff, Well,
but
one thing Trump does.
Bernie would not have played those games with him during the debates, and he would have made him look like a total ass during the debates.
And he wouldn't have backed down, and couldn't have been stalked in the way.
Bernie has that old white privilege of, you ain't gonna just talk to me any kind of way on stage. You're gonna respect me. I'm not gonna play these stupid games with your little ignorant ass. Yeah, better than Biden, because even Biden got rattled by Trump. Like, come on, man, would you shut up? Bernie would have been like, I'm not doing this. I don't know what's going on over here. But this man is clearly unhinged.
Over here in Vermont, we have a thing. I have some Ben and Jerry's right here, and I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm turning off my hearing aid.
Mm-hmm.
I ride for Ben and Jerry's and Cream Malicious. It's the only two types of ice cream I buy now.
Blam, just blam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to save my portion of scorn for Jill Stein, though. She did a lot, and that was hubris, because she should have known that she had no chance.
Number of votes in several states.
In two of the states, and was within spitting distance of the third.
Mm-hmm.
There she goes.
I see you.
You are part of the problem.
A big part.
Mm-hmm.
Big old part.
And the hubris of white women hit us twice, because RBG,
she sure did.
Resistance to stepping down.
And I should have done it.
Again, this is a white woman thing. It's white women all over this. I know that RBG is Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Jewish. However, in the larger pot, there's a bunch of non-black women or non-women of color-ish doing a bunch of shit, because I believe, and I have no evidence to back this up, this is just something that I think. I like to let people know when I'm stating an opinion so that they don't take it as truth and go out and murder people for it. So I only believe that RBG had it in her mind that she wanted the first woman president to fill her seat. And so she was holding out for Hillary. And again, that was assuming ignorantly that this country was ready to go another 4 years without a white man in power. If you understand white men, You understand why that wasn't going to happen. Even the ones that call themselves progressive, even some that I think are probably really good friends of mine, that I would consider allies, would still rather have a white man if given the choice.
Right.
And there's a lot of white women. Obviously, we know by the numbers, but
Right, the
I was
53%.
I
Yeah.
was sitting in my office about 6 years ago, and I overheard a chat amongst a group of white women that worked in. They were in the common area with different firms, different businesses, and what have you. And they were chatting, and none of them were. Well, one was, but the majority of those women I wouldn't have called conservative by any stretch of imagination. But it was interesting for me with my door open to hear them process information and hear them all say variations on the theme that they don't feel comfortable with a woman as the leader of the United States of America, that they don't feel protected, they don't feel safe. How will she deal with foreign powers, yada, 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 yada. And I was blown away that these white women, and they were ranging in age from, I'd say, about late 20s to early 70s, that these white women crossing, again, generational spans, all believe that bullshit, you know? And I'm like, wow, it's again, the signs were there for me even before I saw all the signs on that I-4 corridor. But yeah, politics is amazing, and misogyny is real. I saw someone say that earlier up in the thread, but misogyny is a mug, and it's something that we have to deal with and we have to push back against
Mhm.
and what have you. And again, you know, I know it sounds cliche, but if this was something dealing with men, it wouldn't even be an issue. You know, so when you're talking Clarence Thomas suggesting we go after contraception, you won't see that son of a bitch talking about going after Viagra because that's the only thing that is keeping him in the game if he's still in the game. Only Jenny, well, I assume only Jenny would know that. But at the end of the day, you know, men are a bunch of self-righteous sorts, and I'm a man, but it's you know, I'm just an old simple guy that believes that it's none of my goddamn business how people have sex. It's not my business what women choose to do, be it a morning after pill, be it contraceptives, be it abortion. None of that's my business. If it doesn't pertain to me, then I'm out of it. And I just wish more people across the United States of America could understand that if it's not something that's hurting the public, and I don't want to hear this shit about, oh well, it's the millions of the unborn. Cause I'm like, you motherfuckers aren't worried about those kids that are in the graves
Walking around.
in Texas. You ain't
Sure
worried about
aren't.
kids who can't eat. There's kids going to bed right now. Don't know if they're gonna wake up tomorrow because they haven't eaten in a couple of days. Y'all don't give a shit about that.
No, I ain't go damn about them.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you got to
and
understand the ultimate, the meta of it all. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
So you tie in. First off, let's also not forget what also came down from the Supreme Court was the easing or the loosening of re, rules around Miranda rights, so that
Mm-hmm.
if you don't Mirandize someone properly, they no longer can just sue you outright just for that. Has to be other extenuating circumstances. So they made it a little easier for crooked cops to do some bullshit. Now,
exactly.
you take that. You know, you got Second Amendment running rampage all over the NRA, all that stuff. You got guns everywhere. You got police making it easier for them to do some bullshit when they so choose, and you know they're gonna choose black people. Then you have Roe v. Wade being overturned. So poor people, which skews black, because all black people are not poor, but poor people, which skews towards people of color and a large majority of white people who don't have the money for health insurance, going across state lines, et cetera, are going to be forced into having babies they don't want. Those babies either go into the system, raised half-ass. I'm not giving any reasons as to why that will happen. I'm just saying it's not going to be the best situation. Crime rates are going to rise. Crime rates that are going to be enforced by them same cops that don't give a damn about you anymore. This is how you swell a prison population that is already 25% of the world's incarcerated are here in a country that owns only 5% of the world's population. So
Yeah.
this is how you swell that. You grow corporate prison industrial complex. That becomes the new tech boom, and somebody's getting rich off of all of this. And it's also how you continue to expand the white race. Not so you have more white privileged people, more white, stupid, mindless, brainless, lemming following soldiers to kick off a race war whenever you want.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're all Star Wars people. It's like when the clones were created and what have you,
Hmm.
Darth Sidious
Hmm.
to be able to be used to destroy the Jedi and take control of the universe. And so, Joy, you're spot on that. I think Stacy made a great comment here about the Supreme Court decided about the guns in public issue as well. Again,
Yeah,
they are
that was the the
yeah.
New York the loosening of the restrictions
Hmm.
in open carry in New York. New York, like California, like a number of other mostly blue states, had some pretty not even aggressive, just common sense regulations. And if you were going to open carry, you needed to have a legitimate purpose, not just, well, I just need to be able to shoot somebody in the subway if they try to come for my pocketbook. You needed to have a legitimate purpose for open carry, and that's all they were saying. And SCOTUS is saying, oh, restriction on the right to bear arms. Listen, you get in the time machine and go back to when the Second Amendment was drafted,
Hmm.
and you enforce that on all single shot pistols that required you to pour blasting powder and
Right.
stuff a wad of shit into the little thing
Hmm.
so you could fire maybe one shot every 2 minutes.
Right.
Do that. I'm with you.
Right.
Unrestricted. Carry as many as you want. You'll have to carry 15 guns if you want to go shoot up someplace, but
Kill
you'd be
people.
pretty
Yeah.
easy to spot.
Yeah.
But you can't, you're pretending that, A, the only thing I am aware of in the Bible is thou shalt not kill. I don't know how you square that with right to bear arms as a God given right. I really don't
I
understand how
want
that's
to
supposed to work.
I want to talk about this comment real quick. What about society's right to peace?
Well, there's
They
that.
don't give a damn about your peace. These
Sure
the
don't.
people that are in favor of doing the things and seeing the things come to fruition that are happening now. Their only goal is their own personal comfort and monetary pile. They give a damn about your peace. Matter of fact, expand that below the monetary motivation into the white supremacist motivation. They don't want peace if it means they have to look you in the eye as an equal. They would rather burn this country to the ground and see it sunken into the ocean before they have to willingly admit that we are all equal. That doesn't they would not want peace for that. They will go to war for it because they went to war for it before. They'll do it again.
And that's what's interesting. We talk about this from time to time. America was founded on violence. I think that we can't you can't separate that from the reality. And so it's in the country's DNA. It's been passed down. And when I say the country, I'm not necessarily talking about us because we weren't in the original DNA. We were just,
Mhm.
the folks that were doing all the damn work to build the buildings and clear the swamps and plant the crops and stuff that made the country grow. But I digress. The point is that without all of those weapons, even back in 1787, they can't keep us as 3/5 of a people. And if you ever stop and think about the numbers that, like in states like South Carolina, our enslaved ancestors outnumbered whites in South Carolina like 3-4 to 1 up
Yeah.
to the dawn of the Civil War. I mean, right here in Leon County, Tallahassee, Florida, I read where like it was almost 4 or 5 to 1 enslaved
Mhm.
ancestors to whites that lived here in Tallahassee. And the only reason they were able to keep our ancestors like under heel was because they had weapons. They had rifles, even though they were single
Mhm.
shots. Like
And that's
talking about, you've got a hoe, a rake, maybe your hands. You might have been able to fashion a shank, but it's tough. And so you've got a whole class of people that in their DNA, without their weapons, they're nobody. I mean, think about it. We even in our generation, we all knew people who really went for bad. Only maybe y'all didn't have this in y'all school or y'all side of town, but I knew some folks on our side of town that went for bad because everybody knew, okay, that Negro's packing. He's got something. He keeps a little something in the backpack. But if that backpack isn't in his hand, his ass would have gotten worn out in a straight up scrap. That's
mhm.
America. That's a lot of Americans. They are naked without those guns. And likewise, even when you take it to the nuclear level, if we didn't have nukes, with us being in debt, to people like we are across the world, the only thing that keeps people from like pulling our card is the fact that they're like, well, shit, if they go to war, we can't whip their ass
Right.
necessarily in a conventional war. And it ain't about our freedoms and it ain't about our manufacturing and all of that. It's that those nukes and that military that keeps people from saying, you know what, this country ain't about shit. Let's call them for what they owe us with regards to money's owed, and all debts and all of this type of stuff. So anyway, I've got some. I kind of get frustrated with our 6F brethren and sisterin when it comes to that subject, because I'm like, like what in the hell do you have to walk around? And I've seen that. I don't know if y'all have, but I've been places where these cowboys have their weapons on their hip, and it just makes me laugh. I'm sitting there thinking, like, dude, why? Like, what for? Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating. I'm sick of it here. I'm actually contemplating the whole Blaxit thing too. Like, where in the hell?
Yeah, they've been talking about it in the chat about blacks. Let me tell you something right now. If you think you're gonna just ride your car up to Canada, you can hang that shit up, because Canada is already telling us, no, we full.
We
Ain't
full.
nobody coming here. Mexico is looking at you like, I wish the motherfucker would, after all the shit we put them through.
And actually, to be clear, Canada ain't nowhere near full.
And let's also be clear,
Canada empty as hell. Well,
ask Canada about the mass graves of Indian children when you get up there. Find out what they did to the natives in Canada. Find out what they still do to people that are too dark to pass.
If y'all have heard of the movie Rabbit Proof Fence, which is about the forced indoctrination of indigenous people in Australia, be very present and aware. They did the same thing in Canada to the indigenous people. They wanted to strip them of their language, of their heritage, took them into schools. The Catholic Church was responsible for some unspeakable torments onto and abuses of children under their care, under this whole idea that they were going to proselytize these indigenous people into becoming good Westerners. Wait, what did Sadiq say? Oh, Lord Jesus. Yes. No, you're right. And so it's not a paradise. Now, maybe Toronto, maybe Vancouver, you can enjoy yourself, maybe Montreal, but let's be them prairie states, them big ass rectangles between Ontario and British Columbia, you might as well be in Alabama. Yeah. So Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, don't get it twisted. I know I have friends in Canada. I'm just saying there is no panacea for black people on this planet. It's not even in Africa.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You ain't getting, especially not as an American, don't get it at all twisted. Right. Now,
they
Ghana
got names for us too.
They sure do. And people my complexion and Joy's complexion, we don't even hardly rate. Trust. We both Mzungu. In Kenya at least.
Out here looking like a crown.
Whoop.
I'm seeing everybody say stuff like, let's get up, let's get out, let's go here, let's go there. Plan that out really well, because where are you going and how is it when you live there? Now, I am not saying that there aren't other countries that are
Costa Rica
in a lot of ways better than the U.S. when it comes to universal health care, free college for children, et cetera, et cetera. I have no children, and so that takes that benefit away. I don't give a damn about that. So now we're looking at universal health care. All right, rock with that. What's the food like? What are the people like? Am I going to have to deal with little snide comments every day? Is it a country full of microaggressions? What's really going on? And where are you really going? Because even every country can't feed their people. Every country has homeless. Every country has a housing shortage. Every country is experiencing the same inflation. So all you're really doing is trading, a frying pan for a wok. So I think I'm staying here, but I also want the people that are here to recognize that we ain't just going. I'm going out with a bang for sure. But I got a video I want to show you all because one, it brings me happiness on a day like today, and two, white men, I want y'all to remember that the black men that you are talking to gives
thank you.
About you.
I hope I know what this is. I think I know what it is.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Hang on.
Is this the one that has Sonic?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, hold on. Can rewind it because you got to add it to
Mm-mm.
here.
What you gonna do, boy? What you gonna do in here with everybody here, man? What you gonna do? Get your ass up. Cry Jesus, not
Not
me.
me, cause I throw hands.
You got look. Wait, it gets better. One up.
And he said, oh, man.
Come on, man.
Man, I ain't do nothing. I ain't doing shit. Oh, man.
There's another version. Hang on.
What you gonna do, boy? What you gonna do in here with everybody here, man? What you gonna do? Get your ass up here.
I'm ashamed of how happy this makes me.
The way he kicked his leg over his neck. Not the Tweety Birds. I cackled.
Yeah.
Yes.
That and the man at the fish restaurant who just got the living bedevilment slapped out of him by old boy with the hat and the flip, man. Yeah, the sound effects and the visual effects were epic.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually stunning.
Yeah, man.
That was
Yep.
that was a delightful piece of work. I have to say,
Violence is never good,
it is never good,
but it was funny.
but it was amazing.
Look, Jesus is still working on me.
That's right.
Right.
Definitely
Besides,
working on me.
we already know that when Gilead comes down, I'm rocking with the Jezebels. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all.
Ah!
I play
Yeah,
my strengths.
Yeah.
I'll either be a Martha or a Jezebel because I had a hysterectomy. So I can't be a handmaid because I am useless, but I can cook. And so I'll be a Martha cooking up poison for, the massa. Slow
Well,
poison. You can't just kill them overnight. You got to make
no,
them
you
sick
can't.
over like 3 years. It's a slow burn.
Now, and let's be clear, just because there were black people in some very limited positions of authority in the Hulu version of Handmaid's Tale, do not be confused. There will be no Herschel Walker commanders when Gilead comes down. There will be no
Nope.
Tim Scotts. There are way too many white people
That have
who
been
want
waiting on a chance to
right
have a built-in
one of
rape
those
mistress.
seats. Exactly. No, you ain't getting it, son. It's not gonna work that way
Because
for you.
also notice there were no like out of shape handmaids either. They was cherry picking who they wanted to come and service the house.
Oh yeah. Even after
And
they
then now
cut
they
that
got
poor
it,
girl's eye out.
right?
I mean, not mixed
you-
nuts.
You
Oh,
mixed nuts. If you think that they won't start resorting to violence, they already have.
right.
The whole January 6th thing was just a test run for what they could get away
Prelude.
with and where they needed, can they have people in the right places at the right time? Because remember, that wasn't the first time they tried to storm a government building in the last 2 or 3 years. Didn't they do it in Michigan? They tried to get the governor.
Yeah, and they tried to kidnap her. Yeah, they were going to kidnap her.
That was a test run too. Next thing you know, like there's no telling what they could do, but you won't see, like somebody was saying, like with all these red and blue states, it's starting to look like Civil War delineation. No state is fully red or blue. They're all purple. And the problem is you're going to have a purple war, which is, what's the little fires everywhere? Like it won't be
Right.
the state versus the other state unless it's potentially Texas decides to invade California. I can see that happening. But, if Texas secedes from the Union, which they're talking about doing, I got a lot. Austin and Houston are in Texas, and I know they ain't with that shit. So what happens to all the blues stuck in these red states? Especially when Texas is trying to be so bold as to say you can't get an abortion here, and if we catch you going somewhere else to get it, that's
Oh,
your
they're
ass.
doing the most.
The absolute most. They are leading the way. I told y'all about 6, 7 months. I told y'all October of last year that I saw this bullshit running around in Texas. They wasn't playing. They are dead serious about this shit, and they are dead serious about it. Remember, Texas is the only territory that left 2 countries trying to hold on to slavery. They left Mexico because Mexico ended slavery, and they wanted to hold on to their slaves, and the U.S. was like, "We'll take you." And then
Better
when the
tell it.
U.S. got rid of slavery, they tried to leave U.S. too.
Better tell it.
I mean, listen, I just want to say it is such a pleasure working with the entire Steel Sharp and Steel family because you don't get to have conversations like these with historical impact and truth telling.
Charlemagne the God could never.
Never, never. But at any rate, one of the things that I wanted to touch on before we moved off of the abortion issue is that there was a lot of discussion about trigger laws that were going to immediately come into effect if Roe versus Wade were overturned. And to the extent that Roberts did not actually endorse an outright ban, he tried to be a little bit more incremental, but the rest of the monkeys were just running off and doing whatever the hell they wanted to do. But there were 13 states basically that probably within 48 hours are just going to be just out, including some of the ones that had, 6-week bans. Texas, there were a couple of states that had 15-week bans. So all of those things. Louisiana was one of the ones that was instantly going to go into. But at the end of the day, between existing laws that had been on the books but had gone unenforced since the 1800s or the early 1900s to states that had trigger laws on the books that were ready to go and had legislatures, state legislatures that had bills almost ready to go. They're almost half the states in the union. Now, not half the population of the country, but almost half the states in the union within a month are probably going to be very challenging for a woman to maintain bodily autonomy. And that's how I wanted to. It's not a pro-abortion. It's not, to me, it's a whole cascade of things because it's not just abortion. If contraceptive hormone therapy, which can be used for other things in a woman, is on the chopping block, then it's not even just a matter of pregnancy. So,
and if hormone therapy is on the chopping block for women, then hormone therapy for transitioning women is not even on the page. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And let's not forget. Wait, what is it? The Texas GOP is adopting an anti-LGBTQ platform and referring to gay people as abnormal. They're going straight 1800s with this shit.
Electroshock therapy, lobotomies. They're going. So it's
don't forget, we used to murder gay men too, or gay people. We still murder trans people. Gay people not as much, but this right here.
It is, Jay Knight. This is perfect.
India and Pakistan.
It is, and it's so interesting that this is coming along in the time when Ms. Marvel is on Disney Plus, and the separation is a huge actual undercurrent of the plot thread. If you're not watching Ms. Marvel because you think, oh, it's a kitty show,
it's not. It's really good.
It's a really, really good show. And on one of the other podcasts that I do, one of the things that gave me life is I watch on the closing credits, after you get past Feige and some of the, higher ups who are just involved in every Disney thing, it is like a non-stop freight train of Muslim people who are the creatives behind this show.
Similar to, what was it? Moon Knight. You saw a lot of...
Yeah. So a very, very good show. We haven't done a lot of pop culture right now. And there is some pop culture to talk about, but perhaps not so much because we have so many weighty topics up to and including our dear sister Sharon. So these trigger things, the looming threat of Thomas, who has to be said, is arguably wielding far more power than he ever has in his entire tenure. And somebody on my wall today made a comment that these justices that enacted this decision, by and large, were elected or were selected and nominated by people who didn't even win the popular vote.
Yes, there is a trend there.
W and Trump both lost the popular vote. And yet, because of the vagaries of the Electoral College, got these people in. And that's craziness. Not Thomas.
You know what's fucked up to me, a mess to me, is the Electoral College was ostensibly put in place so that ignorant, everyday farmers wouldn't be in charge of deciding who runs the country.
Exactly.
The thing that we ran into is they started believing their own hype. They bought the wig, so to speak, and the electors became ignorant farmers, incapable of choosing a proper, person for this country. They should have overturned properly, not like storming the shit on January 6th. They should have challenged the right or the challenged the correctness of sending Trump into office. That was their job. They had one job when all else failed. The popular vote was there, right? They had means. And you know what? I'm going to draw another parallel for you. Rutherford B. Hayes, 1876, loses the popular vote. Not exactly the same, but he became president through the compromise of 1877, where the Southern states said, we don't believe in this dude, we're not running with this. But if you take these troops that are allowing Reconstruction to flourish, which has given us black congressmen, black mayors, black people voting, blackity, black on black, everything. Take these troops out and we won't challenge the fact that Rutherford did not get the popular vote. We'll let that slide. Took the troops out, hundreds of thousands of black voters disappeared in the span of 15 months. Months. I'm talking Louisiana from 200,000 down to 5,000.
Yeah.
What happened to those people? And so here, once again, the livelihood, the benefit, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of black people is forfeit for political gain. On both sides. Both sides have been both types of parties. Because remember, Hayes was a Republican. That was the Progressive Party of 1876. Right. They were what we would call a Democrat now. Gave us up to stay in power. And we see that once again. Every time the will of the people is thwarted, this country goes backwards. Every single time.
Every single time.
I hate it, but I don't feel like packing. I got a lot of stuff.
There is so much truth. There is so much truth in what you just said. I hate packing. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm not going to let you drive me out of my country.
Yeah.
My people built this hoe. So,
right.
I'm not with that abandoning everything that we have built just because I might be able to go to Ghana and claim something because of 23andMe.
Right.
Nah.
But I'm all for the drakening of the United States. Just keep on, come on, Becky. Keep on coming on after Lorenzo and them. See what happened to you. Oh, Becky, you live in Tennessee. You about to have that little chocolate baby. Good luck, girl. Don't tell your granddaddy because he's off somewhere with a hood on, but he'll be back. And we'll see how that all goes for you. And, the presumption that lessening access to abortion is going to produce all these new white babies is assuming that these white women are having sex with white men. And that is happening less and less.
This is true.
I'm waiting on someone to have their daughter claim rape against a black man and try not to have that child in Texas. I want to see what happens.
No exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't figure it out within 6 weeks. And I mean, again,
6
the plan
weeks
B,
food poisoning for all you know.
The plan B, and there's a plan C now, which is home administered. Yeah, see, now you get it, CJ. You gotta, sometimes you gotta keep one step ahead of Joy, because she gonna run something past you. But it seems to me that Plan B is gonna be a huge beneficiary of this, because there won't be any guessing. If you think, just as a precaution, spend the $25 or however much it costs to go the day after, period, or get you a rolling prescription. It's going to be a way that people are going to have access to these medications, especially if it's day after. I'm sorry, you can no, a zygote is not a person. It's just not a person. And
A
um,
zygote, you can't even tell what it is unless if it moves, it has rights. I'll go with that. But if it's
what do
not,
you mean
you know,
moves?
if you
The
can feel the
zy
baby kicking, the quickening, the things you
Oh,
were
oh,
talking
the
about before.
quickening. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, I
and I'm
mean,
with you.
again, I,
Mhm.
I don't want to wade into the issue of
But
fetal viability. I will just
right.
say this.
But I would also
You
say, even
can,
if it's a viable fetus, if it's already been detected to have multiple issues that are going to make its quality of life living hell, don't put that baby through that. And the parents.
I, I 100% agree with the ability for a woman to be self-determinative
Hmm.
about her body. And I will also say that no, it's not going to be illegal. So here's the thing, CJ. This is the other thing. So contraception, Plan B is a fine line. Some would like to call it an abortifacient. Some would like to call it emergency contraception. And so, uh, obviously, Clarence Thomas doesn't want anybody to have any rights that he doesn't approve. So, yes,
Right.
Plan B. And in a number of these anti abortion states, Plan B was already facing some trickiness.
Yeah.
Um, so, I'm not saying it's a perfect solution. What I am saying is that um, if you can freeze a zygote and unfreeze it 10 years later and successfully implant it into a person, try that with a walking person. Try that even with a fetus that is 26 weeks old.
Hmm.
There is a difference between a cell cluster and a human being. And
So,
one of the
okay,
first definitions is that you
okay,
can't
wait.
freeze a human being and thaw him out and he'll be
The
okay.
scientist in me
Or her.
now is wondering if you find that you have a zygote inside you,
Hmm.
can you take it out and freeze it? And it's not technically an abortion because the zygote is still there, right?
Yourself?
Huh?
What you gonna do? What you said? Take it out yourself?
No, just go to like have that be a procedure. I want to freeze my zygote for a few years, then I'll put it back in there, and then you just forget. But it's still there, still viable. It's a Schrodinger's cat type of situation, right?
A Schrodinger's zygote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
with it.
hats off to all of the companies. I saw something earlier today, like Bungie and Activision and Sony. A lot of tech companies were coming out saying, game companies were coming out saying that they stand with women's right to bodily autonomy. And I like that the message has been over and over again: we support bodily autonomy. We support bodily autonomy. That's the message that should have been out the whole time, instead of being and pro-abortion or whatever. But yeah, supporting bodily autonomy. And hats off to the few, tragically few, but the few, the proud companies that have said they will support transportation costs for their employees who may need to go to states where services are offered that they might find themselves in need of. Nobody has said outright, we will pay for you to go across state lines to get an abortion, but they have said if it's something that is available in another state that you feel you definitely need, we will provide that transportation and accommodation for you. And that's great. But now, imagine, if you will, a rally in Amarillo, Texas, for Trump and his minions, saying that right over there, look over there, 30 yards away is an abortion clinic on Native American grounds, and they are killing babies right now. Let's go do something about it. Now you got one state invading another state and murdering people in that state. Now what do you do?
I mean, to be fair, they don't consider those indigenous people people.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
They
mean,
don't.
Texas is about to secede anyway, so yeah.
And go on ahead and do that, because that would be a whole bunch of electoral votes you taking off the map.
Yup.
So go ahead, see how that works for you. See how much you like
Mhm.
actually being the United State of Texas.
And don't ask us for shit when your grid goes down and you need some electricity trying to run extension cords in Louisiana. Miss me with that
Yeah,
bull.
because everybody else is going to be going down to Cancun apparently, when that happens, or at least Ted Cruz will be. Um, all right, we have talked a lot
Mm-hmm.
about some of the bigger issues of the day. Um, and it's now time to turn our attention to a big issue for us and our family, and that is the circumstances in which we find our dear Sharon Letman Hicks. Just last week, exactly a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
Joy and I shared the very happy news that Sharon had announced her candidacy for the Florida House District 8, which is a reliably Democratic seat and centered essentially in Tallahassee and the cities and communities kind of around in that upper little piece of the state. And it it should not have been surprising, but it was stunning what happened only a few days later. So,
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, as the person who has been on the ground um, supporting Sharon and our other Tallahassean, please bring us up to speed on. If you haven't visited SharonLetman.com, you can see what Sharon has to say. But we have a unique opportunity now to hear from one of the persons who's been assisting her. So please, Chuck.
Yeah, no doubt. Much love out to Sharon Letman Hicks. I know that she's watching the show tonight. She has missed. This has been a very tough week for her, an unimaginably tough week. Um, it's been an unimaginably tough week for all of us. You know, Tom and Sharon go back to at least 1986, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
I met Sharon a few years after that, and we've been friends and like family ever since. We all have reached the big 5-0 and a little bit further, but we all remember when we were much younger and the world was all ahead of us. And so when you have those experiences with people, when you can think back, Sharon knew me when I was much thinner and had a high top fade. And when you realize that, and you realize those days gone by when we had such good times, your heart breaks when any issue like this, the situation that she found herself in this week, occurs. Now, a little bit of background. Sharon Letman Hicks has been a long time Democratic Party operative. If you have seen the pictures, those were not just photo ops. She worked within the Obama administration. She has had roles with Joe Biden. She's not somebody that just drops names or chases clout, like the kids say. She actually has clout. She has been a person who has advocated for so many Democratic issues for so long that she's considered an expert and is well loved and respected across Democratic Party politics. And she's always been a behind the scenes person with that. She's the type of person that you need in any political organization because they do the behind the scenes work and make sure that everything, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. That's Sharon. In recent years, she has led uh, several coalitions. I mean, obviously, she's in public relations. She's had her communications company. She's led PM. She's had PMP. She's a building owner here in Tallahassee. And right now, she is Tom. Make sure I get the acronym right. I know that she's led the NABJ. Did I say that correctly?
In NBJC.
NBJC. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she serves the former executive director, currently CEO of NBJC.
and y'all forgive me if I sound tired and haggard. I am tired and haggard. This has been a devastating week for all of us. I haven't slept a full night since we found out the news on Tuesday that I'm going to talk about here, and so I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to get some rest. And again, if I'm stressed out the way I'm stressed out and not sleeping, I cannot imagine what Sharon is going through and experiencing right now. So if you're wondering, well, what is she going through? Here's what it is. About 4 years ago, Andrew Gillum made history. Andrew Gillum, another friend of all of ours, that goes way back. He's younger than we are, but we've known him for a long time, and we've watched his meteoric rise from a 23-year-old city commissioner all the way to mayor of Tallahassee, to being less than 1% away from being the governor of Florida. And so all of us have been there from the beginning, like when he was student body president at FAMU. And so again, these are difficult times for all of us. Well, when he ran in 2018, Andrew Gillum, for most conventional wisdom, was not considered the front runner for the Democratic gubernatorial nomination. And yet he was able to clear the field and win that August. And he went on to face Ron DeSantis, had a couple of debates where he showed his intellectual prowess, and bested Ron DeSantis in both of those debates. And again, it was a great disappointment that the election was not won. But Sharon was one of the senior campaign advisors to the Gillum for Governor campaign. And so what happens here is, even before then, there had been FBI investigation into the city of Tallahassee. Lots of subpoenas were dropped based upon a prior mayor of Tallahassee named Scott Maddox, and several other people affiliated with him. And so, as is the nature in FBI investigations, they often go from one thing to another. When they go from one thing to another, sometimes they use undercover agents and informants to try to go out and solicit information. Once court cases get done in these types of situations, oftentimes defense attorneys will fight back with an entrapment defense, which is something that I want everybody to take a look at down the line, where they try to set people up, right? So you had this investigation that was going on, and they were looking into the prior mayoral administration with Scott Maddox. Then they started trying to investigate Mayor Gillum's administration, and they started dropping subpoenas. And long story short, throughout their subpoenas, Mayor Gillum at the time, prior to running for office, was actually under the employ of Sharon Letman Hicks. And so they are alleging that Sharon Letman and or Andrew Gillum used funds that were supposed to be earmarked for the election for personal purposes. That's the crux of the 21 count indictment that many of you may have read on traditional media sites this week. And both Sharon Letman Hicks and Andrew Gillum have issued not guilty pleas at this time. One of the things that has frustrated me beyond measure is to see so many people who either have never been in trouble themselves to the point where they would understand how federal cases work, or practice law in federal courts where they would understand how federal cases work, have been opining up and down on social and traditional media about how they must be guilty. And I mean, I know social media and the comment section on traditional media sites gives everybody an opportunity to weigh in. You can say the sky is purple or the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. You can do that. That's your prerogative. But I'm here to tell you, as one who's done a little bit of work in federal court, to say the least, that do not rush to judgment. And I am very much looking forward to seeing vindication here. And I'm looking forward to seeing Sharon Letman Hicks clear her name. Again, our Steel Sharp Steel sister will have the full weight of all three of us behind her in the days ahead. We love her. We believe in her. We believe that she is not guilty. And again, I ask everybody, obviously can't talk at length right now about what evidence is or is not. Again, if you have any experience as a criminal lawyer or as a federal litigant, you know that oftentimes the evidence isn't just out there. It's not like in a state court case where you can go to the clerk's office and get copies of everything that the law enforcement officials have. You can't do that in federal court. But I still believe very strongly in my sister Sharon Letman Hicks. I do believe there's a hyper politicization that has led to this situation right now. And I do very much look forward to seeing her vigorously defend herself in federal court, and then eventually being able to do all the things that God has called her to do. So we love you. We're here for you. And with that, I hope you rest, sister. And I'm going to probably do like Joy and get me a big glass of wine, and hopefully I can rest too, because I have not, since you got that call on Tuesday that they wanted you to show up at the FBI field office and turn yourself in. And so with that, again, there was a level of dignity. I was in the courtroom with her on Wednesday, Joy and Tom. Our sister was strong. She was beautiful, dressed impeccably, focused, steely focused. She wasn't doing the rock that we're used to here on Steel Sharp and Steel.
She only rocks when she's excited. When she's mad, she sits very still.
She was focused, and she's going to be fine. But again, it was good to be there with her, to see that she's going to be fine. And we want to make sure that all of our Sharpies understand that we recognize that it's a long road ahead, but at the same time, we anticipate that she will be vindicated. And again, we look forward to having you right back on this show real soon, Sharon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is there anything that Sharpies can do to help?
I can't hear you, sweetheart. What you say?
Is there anything that the Sharpies can do to help?
Well, I tell you this much. I do know that at some point in time, because these cases can get, as you can imagine, hella expensive. And so I do anticipate that at some point in time, there will be a defense fund that's going to be established. And when that happens, I know that we will be able to drop it in the comment section. We'll drop it on all of our pages. And whatever it is that you think not robbery, to be able to contribute to that, that would be great. And also, just from a social media standpoint, when articles come out about this particular case, because it will be it's already a major media case. It will continue to be a major media case. When you see foolishness being conveyed by people who are armchair quarterbacks or think they know everything, just push back against it, clap back against them. I saw Tom pulling out his lightsaber the other day and slicing some folks up with their assumptions and fuckery. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we are. You got to push back in the court of public opinion, and you have to push back in the court of law. And so with that, Sharpies can be a great help in pushing back in the court of public opinion about these specious allegations of wrongdoing against our sister Sharon.
And I just want to say, because I think it is true and it bears repeating, there is an inclination to jump to conclusions about innocence or guilt. And Chuck posted a wonderful piece. You should subscribe to his Substack. But it's innocent unless and until proven guilty. And he makes the point of saying that, innocent until, that's a presumption in of itself. But the unless is something that levels the playing field. And so Mike Bartlett put the same thing in here. And I would remind you that, former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman also was on the wrong end of some allegations and was convicted and then ultimately exonerated. And so even if the wheels of justice turn slowly, and we are prayerful that they are going to roll swiftly for Sharon, because this is some bullshit. I'm just gonna say it. It disgusts me. It enrages me. The timing of it is suspicious. The fact that they are able to fast track a trial is suspicious to me. There are any number of questions that are jumping to my mind, and that imp of an armpit stain that calls himself the occupant of the governor's mansion, you can't tell me that there's not something going on. You cannot tell me that he is not in some way engaged in this. The timing is just horrible. And it's Florida, y'all. I mean,
Right. And
it's just Florida. So
Bobby's got a point. She got a court date in August, but Gates is still out here walking around living his best
not only Gates,
life.
Peter Navarro ain't gonna see the inside of a courtroom till November, and he
Mm-hmm.
was arrested 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't, and it just so happens. I wonder. That court date is a week before the Florida primary.
And get this, Tom, the judge there are three judges in the Northern District of Florida. Judge Robert Hinkle, who was a Clinton appointee, Judge Mark Walker, who was a Barack Obama appointee, and Judge Alan Windsor, who was a Donald Trump appointee. Well, Sharpies, guess who got appointed to take on this particular case?
I don't want to listen. I don't want to do or say anything that may negatively impact Sharon. So I will just reassert what Chuck has said. When a legal defense fund becomes available, we will share it with you. That will be one thing that you can definitely do to support those of you who are in Florida. Can make sure you vote in the damn primary, and make sure you vote in the midterms, because Val Demings needs y'all support.
Yes.
And I'm not one in the aftermath of Trump's win. I'm definitely not one to seek goodness and light. But Val Demings is a viable candidate, and Marco Rubio is a troll. So go on ahead and make sure you push through, because if Val Demings defeats Marco Rubio and we hold against senatorial candidate CTE Walker, then we will maintain the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super duper important, and
it's especially important because even though trying to codify a woman's right to bodily autonomy is still a hot button topic, and trying to get that through the Senate might be an issue. Laws against miscegenation, laws against crippling gay, that's a bad word, like stifling rights for the LGBTQ community. All of that can be written and passed through a Senate that is hopefully majority Democrat or Democrat controlled. They can start making things laws that should have been laws years ago. We've been riding on the Supreme Court having our back for 2 generations, and we got comfortable. We got real comfortable. I specifically remember a 56-year-old woman that I know that voted for Trump saying they'll never mess with Social Security and they'll never overturn Roe v. Wade. There's nothing to worry about. And now look at where she is. Matter of fact, I think her husband lost his Medicaid or some shit. So good luck to you, ho. Tried to tell you. But I said it. It is what it is. But if it was a law, if it was a federal law or a federal mandate guideline, no state shall go below this.
Right.
That's all we need. You don't have to tell them that they can't have abortion laws, but you can say no law shall infringe beyond, say, the 10-week, 15-week time frame or something like that. They could do that. But if not that, then you can at least say that no law shall be put in place that prohibits one human being above the age of 18 from marrying another human being above the age of 18, so you can protect gay rights. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be put into law, made an amendment to the Constitution or something.
Well, it's not going to become an amendment, but you can pass a federal law.
You're
not going to get 2/3 of the states to get an amendment.
I want amendments. I'm kidding.
I know. Listen, all I will say is this on that topic: when the Senate finally decides it's time to do something, they can get something done. Modest gun reform has been enshrined in a Senate version of the bill that will definitely pass the House and will definitely go to Joe Biden, who will definitely sign it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes institutional will. And I don't see a path for enshrining women's bodily autonomy into law.
Because too many left-leaning men also don't get it. They don't get what the big deal is, And so they are just
and Joe Manchin is Susan Collinsing himself, like, I really didn't think they'd do that. Well,
that's cowardice to me. Yeah, that's cowardice.
Listen to black women. We've been trying to tell y'all this
forever. So, I don't like this. I don't like this for my friend. I shared Chuck's piece on my wall, and a mutual friend of Chuck and I decided to make light. I felt he was making light of it. He tried to clean it up and he tried to say he was not doing it, but it still wasn't right. It wasn't something that needed to be said in that moment. And you said it, and you tried. In my opinion, it was just out the box. And so I'm always going to ride for my sister. That's my day one from FAMU. Period. Point blank. No cap, as the youngsters say. And so whatever it is, whatever it is that it takes to support her is what she's going to be getting from me, and that is unequivocal and unshakable.
And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
I know that's right. I don't give a good goddamn what y'all got to say, because it's a lie if
Right.
it's something bad. So you can kiss all of my light-skinned ass. Anyway,
Right.
all of it. And there's a rump roast at least back there. So we love you, Sharon.
Absolutely.
We stand in lockstep solidarity with you. And yeah, Mike, that's something that's being said. You know, there is no left. That the quote unquote left is center right.
Right. It's just less crazy.
Yeah, less crazy. What would have been called a moderate Republican in the 1970s. Let's be clear.
If you ask the average American what they felt about, I'm going to pick on a country randomly just to make a point. If you ask the average American what they felt about Iranians restricting women's right to,
Drive
get married
or
who they
whatever.
want, or drive, or get education, or whatever, they would say, "Oh, those barbarians! We've got to go and fight them in a whole nother country to save women's rights over there." But you turn around and say, "Well, what about the right to do what they want with their body?" Oh no, God said they can't. That sounds like Sharia law to me.
Yeah, it does.
The only difference is whether the only difference is whether the women are covered like this or like this. Like, it's really just that much difference between a nun and a full hijab. I mean, come on, y'all. Covering your hair is something they all do. They're all three, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all Abrahamic religions. So it's the same God telling different people. And it's like a game of telephone. They all heard something different. And then they started making up their own shit. There's a lot. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Is not in the Bible.
And what about the millions of people who don't believe in any of that?
Well, now you're talking about
and who are also citizens.
Yeah, it's
But it's not just us talking about it. Isn't that something? I'm crazy. Am I crazy? Wasn't there a founding father who made an allusion to that in a way?
Sure he was.
That, and he definitely wasn't separating himself from some of the enslaved persons under his direct control. But that's another topic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a tough week. It's been a tough week for more than half the population of the country.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a tough week for those of us who are seeking justice. It is a tough week for those of us who can't understand how humans who are able to walk upright and operate heavy machinery can actually believe that Donald Trump tells the truth. And it has been a really tough week for one of the best friends I've had my entire life. So I remain prayerful on all counts. I prayed for justice. I celebrate the 1-year birthday of another very close friend, Brandon Moore's son. Just passed a year, and he's a little flibber to gibbet, walking and stalking all over his house. And so, the circle of life continues to turn. But I will just say that it is heartening to see the Sharpies who came on today and supported the show and support Sharon. And that's right, Jason. Let's hit these streets. These Proud Boys are and these Oath Keepers and Crazy Fool people and all that are doing the most. And so we need to be even more energized than they are, because it's not as many of them as they would like you to think. They just sweep a whole bunch of people in with them,
Yeah.
agitating and things. So,
Did you know to remix an old song for all of the white women who might be watching this and women in general? If you think you're oppressed now, wait till 2030, girl.
If you think you're oppressed right now, wait in 2030.
Yup.
Yeah,
It's
it's
going to
coming.
get worse. Be prepared. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
It is.
Because this is basic. I teach classes on change management. And the thing that I always tell people is if you want someone to change, the pain of staying the same has to outweigh the pain of change. And right now,
That's right.
it's about a 50-50. We haven't reached the point yet, but we will get there. But things will have to get worse before the pain of staying the same is enough to get people who otherwise would have abstained or stayed held back or did some kind of personal moral vote to realize this is a fucking war for democracy and for personal liberty. And until they realize that it affects them too, and there is no sideline on this, we're gonna keep having bullshit. It's always what's the whole thing that came for my neighbor and then there was nobody when they came for me. We're gonna have to get there.
That's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to be dragged off.
But good luck to y'all, because I got an escape plan. It's just me though. I'm gonna leave my sister in Texas. I've already decided in my mind. With me. I can't get her. She got too many needs. She's gonna stay here. She's gonna be behind enemy lines in Texas. I wish I would step foot in motherfucking Texas for anything and get stuck there. And then I got a birth certificate that says to Houston, Texas. They'd be like, nope, you're a Texas citizen. Once and for always, you can't go to another state. Take my fucking passport. Hell no. Now she can get to Louisiana. I'll get her from there. But other than that, I'm out.
Yeah.
You gotta make hard decisions, man. I'm a Harriet Tubman this thing, and you can't keep up, you get left behind, and I gotta shoot you so you can't tell them where we are.
With an AK-47 because that's legal.
Yeah. I just line them all up and
With that, Sharpies, we thank you. And I will say we got 67 comments. This is the last time I checked. I will say I am Tom Cunningham.
I am off Chuck.
Hey.
I would be off Chuck.
She said off Chuck. God damn it. Why it had to be Chuck though?
and I
wake him up.
That's true. You woke him up for that one.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I know that's right. And I am Chuck Hobbs. And again, true that.
This is Steel Sharpens Steel.